There's one fact that we need to remember about how the internet was built. The internet was built upon free resources, by which I don't mean free in the sense of costless. I mean free in the sense of uncontrolled, uncontrolled by government, and importantly, uncontrolled by the industry or companies that owned the infrastructure upon which the internet got built. In this sense, free. And that freedom encouraged an extraordinary range of innovation, and it encouraged people to extend this network and build upon it in ways that no one who framed and built the original internet expected. So, for example, think about the way in which the narrowband or dial-up internet was built. When people used their telephone lines to call in to connect to servers that then connected them to the internet. This dial-up internet demonstrated extraordinary growth. At its height, there was extraordinary competition, some 6,000 ISPs that competed to provide service and facilities to this narrowband internet. Now, of course, the telephone line that one used to call up the internet was not, in this sense, costless. You paid to use that telephone line. But the important point to remember is that the owners of that telephone line, the telephone companies who leased those lines to customers, were forbidden from regulation, from stopping people from using the lines to call computers, and they were not even permitted to discriminate against the use of their lines to call computers, even if that use was competitively disadvantageous for those companies. They didn't have the freedom to control how this network was used, and the consequence of that lack of freedom for the network owners is that this infrastructure, the internet, enjoyed an explosion of growth. Now, we have a choice to recreate that freedom today. For the infrastructure of the internet today is not in its same sense free. It is owned, not free, meaning the DSL lines and cable lines are owned and not free because they are controlled in ways that at least the network owners believe entitles them to control the applications and content that flow across that network. The broadband internet has been technically deregulated, or now stands unregulated, and we now have no clear statement from regulators that the freedom to control what happens on that network is not enjoyed by the network owners. And this means that the owners of the pipes here, or the tubes, as Senator Stevens put it, have a right, or at least they believe they have this right, to control how content and applications develop on this network. And this rise in the freedom for them to control what happens on the network has coincided with a fall in the growth of the penetration of broadband networks and our standing in the world with respect to that penetration of broadband networks. We need right now to revive the innovation and growth and freedom of the old network, and free spectrum, or free airwaves, will be a key to that revival. For by restoring the space of uncontrolled competition and uncontrolled innovation, we will restore the space for growth in this network. And the battle, then, for this free infrastructure is, in my view, the most important battle that we have today. For all of these other battles around the internet, network neutrality, broadband growth, and the digital divide, all of them get tied to this extraordinarily important issue. White spaces have the potential to build into the infrastructure of the spectrum allocation field the freedom that network providers depend upon to once again give us a vibrant, competitive infrastructure for internet access. You need to join this movement. You need to do something to support this movement before we all forget just what a free internet was. Thanks very much.